Hey guys, how you doing? Back again for put my 2 cents in something else. So I want to talk about abortion. Whoa, put that seatbelt on, very important. All right, so abortion. So I read something the other day about the GOP trying to cut the funding for Title X, which is essentially has a lot to do with Planned Parenthood, women's health care, contraceptives, all of that stuff. And I'm sitting here thinking, and because a couple of weeks ago I read another article about how CEOs and congressional wages have gone up like 25% in the last decade or something like that. And I'm sitting here thinking, and I'm like, all right, so they want to cut women's health care, but I'm wondering how much they're going to give themselves for a raise this year. They sit around in a room, they argue. There's about 80 of them 100 of them in the Senate, 500 something in the House of Representatives. They argue, they vote, this happens, that happens, and bam, they go back home. And apparently, I've read another article about this guy. One congressman said that 180,000 or something like that was just not enough to feed his family. I thought about, was it Terrell Owens that said that? I don't know who it was. Some football player said, Latrell Sprewell, right? He said he's got to feed his family. He was making like $8 million a year for the Knicks or something like that. So anyway, that just kind of made me upset. And, I was reading about... Nice bike. Can you tell me what it was? I don't know either. But, I do a lot of reading at work and a lot of pondering. So I was reading the article, and they said, like, one of the main things about it was that 13% of Title X funding goes to Planned Parenthood, which does abortions. They do abortions. But the other thing was that Planned Parenthood abortions, I don't want to say abortions, but it actually saves the taxpayers dollars somehow. Like a Medicaid birth costs like $15,000. It's something like that. It actually ends up saving like $7 to the dollar spent on Title X funding. Anyway, back to the point, abortions. Personally, I'm pro-life. My daughter actually just turned 1 year old July 8th, 2 days ago. So personally, I'm pro-life. I do remember when my fiance said that she was pregnant, the thought crossed my mind because we're very young. We lived in a one-bedroom apartment. We, by no means, in my opinion, were we able to take care of another life. We could barely even take care of ourselves. But as soon as that thought crossed my mind, I said, hell no. God's got a plan. It was his plan for us to do this at this time. She may end up growing up and curing cancer or something like that. So personally, I'm not able to take that away from the world. She's an absolutely beautiful little girl, lights up everybody's eyes when they see her, lights up their smile. She's just truly one of God's lights in a world of darkness. So personally, pro-life. When it comes to other people, when it comes to society, I'm pro-choice, because I do not believe that in any way, shape, or form I am in a position to tell somebody whether or not they have the means to take care of another life. And I understand, God's plan is for everybody, even people who don't believe him. In my opinion, he takes care of everybody. However, I believe Jesus Christ personally would be pro-life, but for other people, he would be pro-choice. He is a forgiving God. He forgives mistakes. So for every door that we close on Jesus, he forgives us for it and opens up another one for us. Do I believe that a mother who chooses to abort a baby will have to atone for that at some point? Certainly. I believe that we all have to atone for the doors that we shut in Jesus' face, that he opened for us, and that we closed because we either didn't have enough faith in him or didn't have enough faith in ourselves. So I do believe that, but that is between Jesus and the woman. That by no means in anywhere in that equation has anything to do with me. And some people will say, the religious people, they'll say, well, I don't think it's right and I don't think this is right. And well, it's not up to you. It's not up to you. It's Jesus. Jesus blessed us with free will. And with free will, we are able to make whatever decisions we decide to make. And like I said, if we have to atone for them, we will atone for them between ourselves and Jesus, not with anybody else. Nobody else is blocking our entrance to heaven but Jesus. And I don't mean blocking, guarding, he's standing at the doorway, he's standing at the gates of heaven and allowing us to enter his Father's gates of heaven. And then what they'll do is be like, oh, well, you're right, free choice. Well, now it's about the tax dollars. Well, like I said, it's $7 to the dollar spent on funding the Title X. And it's interesting because Orange is the New Black, the season 3, the woman who got her teeth fixed, she said that she had like 7 or 8 abortions. And instead of being appalled at her character, I actually was sympathetic or empathetic to her character. And the big girl, I forget what her name is, but I think she called herself like the Butch in the one episode. She was like, maybe you did a good thing because you're just as effed up as anybody else in this world. There's no way you could have raised that kid, and that kid could have grown up to be a criminal for all we know. So it goes back to the tax dollars. You can either pay, you can have your tax dollars go towards a portion. I'm not saying a whole, you're paying for the entire portion, but a portion of your tax dollars goes to the abortion, or that kid could grow up to be a criminal. And the way life works, things always come in full circle. What if they murdered like your son or your cousin or your nephew or your mother or father? You know what I mean? Well, then would that abortion 15, 20 years ago have been worth it? And I guarantee you every single person would say, yes, it would have been worth it. So that's just my take on it. There was something else, somewhere else that I was going to go with it. I'm not sure, but that's just my take on it. It's freedom of choice, freedom of will. We only have to atone our sins with Jesus Christ. Nowhere in that does anything have to do with anybody else in this world. And I found it interesting. I saw another little meme or whatever they're called about how there are 500 men in a room deciding on what a woman cannot do with her body, but a woman can't decide what she can and can't do with her body. And the other thing about the Title X funding is Planned Parenthood doesn't just do abortions. They educate young women and they offer cost-effective and cheap contraceptive so that unplanned pregnancies don't happen, so that women can go through life not having to suffer the psychological effects of an abortion and live their life until they're ready to have a planned child. And pregnancy is at like an all-time low. And for women, I think that is huge, because my fiance and I, we even came to the conclusion, both of us wanted to go back to school, and we just had my daughter, and we came to the conclusion together, and by no means am I controlling or anything like that, we came to the conclusion together that it might be best for me to go back, because what's going to happen is maybe in another 2 or 3 or 4 years we decide to have another child. Well, then she's a stay-at-home mom right now. She absolutely loves it, and I'm proud of the fact that I'm able to provide her with that opportunity to stay at home with our child for the first year. Richard Branson, power to you, man. I love the 1-year thing where you're giving the people, your employees, the opportunity to spend the first year with their kid. I think it's crucial. I think it's absolutely, and I'm going to say it, I think it's absolutely bullshit that in today's world, both parents have to work a 9-to-5 job while putting their child in daycare. Meanwhile, they're getting home at 5:30, 6:30, depending on traffic. The child goes to bed at 8. So on a daily basis, Monday through Friday, you're seeing your child maybe 7 to 9, 8 to 9. When you drop your child off at daycare, that child is being raised by another person from 9 to 5, 9 to 5:30, 9 to 6. While when you come home, you get to see your baby for another hour and a half, 2 hours. So out of the grand scheme of the day, you only get to see your kid 3 or 4 hours, Monday through Friday. That is an absolute shame. That is a tragedy. And it boils my blood that's what this world has come to. So that's just my little rant. I think it's unchristian to judge. It's okay to try to convince, you know what I mean? Like if Jesus met a woman who was thinking of having an abortion, he would not condemn her right then and there. Oh, you're condemned. You'll never enter the gates of my Father's kingdom. You know, I'm going to stand between you and my Father, and you're a sinner, and this, and you're that, and you're just trash. No, he would come to her and he would be like, lady, woman, this happened for a reason. You have been blessed with the gift of life inside of you by my Father. And I assure you that if you decide to keep this baby, he will take care of you. Now, you can go the opposite route, and you'll have to go that route alone, because that's not something that I agree with. But if you choose to keep the baby, to keep the blessing, my Father will take care of you. Oh, damn, there was another good point there, too. I forget. But, and the other thing, just, I'm sure people do a lot that worse things in the world, you know. Now, I'm all for it, you know. Honestly, I believe that there should be some type of standard deviation where I think the youngest born baby that was able to survive was like 22, 23 weeks. The average time frame that the woman finds out they're pregnant is like 7 to 15 weeks. So you've got a long time period right there to figure out whether or not you're able to take care of a child. By no means, I've heard some things about, you know, live abortions where the baby's arms are being ripped out of the uterus and just being maimed inside of the womb. I by no means agree with that. That's heinous, and those kind of doctors that do that should honestly go to freaking jail. That's insane that type of stuff happens. Sorry, I gotta pay a toll here. But you know, I think we get too caught up in judging everybody else, and you know, just not worrying about ourselves. Worry about ourselves. You know, worry about yourself. Things between God will be atoned for when we